Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Erica L. Coleman. It's late. It is really late. It's a Friday night and it's late. Well, March 31st. Um, Interesting. I bought a new camera, a Me 1080p that has a light to it. Wait a minute. Let me turn this light on and let's see if we can get, okay. There we go. I did try this. I was having some trouble because I recorded and then there was noise in the background. And so I had to keep trying to figure out why the noise was in the background, how to get the noise out of the background. And so I did figure that out. And so the other thing was that I had completed a filming, and my deaf autistic son came in and turned out the light. And honestly, I was not going to do the video again. I was going to simply just let it be what it is. But unfortunately, when I went back and looked at it, the noise was in the background. I'm thinking a dark um, video with a noisy background would not make for a good listening and watching experience. So I just went on and decided to go ahead and do it again. So I'm liking this the way it's looking. The interesting thing is that this was available when it first came out. It was being sold on QVC for $80, and I got it for 40. So a sister loved to save some money. And as you can see, I have my camera set up. Gotta have my meditating girl here. Gotta have my elephant. Um, di- and all the other uh, things that I have in the background that have both personal and spiritual meaning to me. And so let's get into it. I'm not going to be before you long. The last video was 20 minutes and I'm tired. So I'm going to go ahead and just make this 10, but I'm going to do my best to make it 10. But the interesting thing is that I want to give an ode to all the caregivers. There are so many people out here who are caring for loved ones, and I have to say that I was a bit taken aback with Joe Biden when um, he decided that he would forgive the student loans, and I hate that word forgiveness. We're going to talk about student loans more in depth, but not tonight. But he decided to forgive the student loans of the people who are disabled. Well, the problem is that he should have gone a lot further in forgiving the student loans of the caregivers of those disabled people, because the majority of the people in this country who are disabled are being cared for by family members. And so I wrote him a letter, and said, don't forget about us. They probably forgot about us. But anyway, um, there are so many people who are doing this, and they're doing it alone. Other family members, friends, as well as church members are not stepping up and helping. They're just, turning their back and, leaving people to fend for themselves. I'm trying to figure out what kind of Christian. Well, you're not a Matthew 25 Christian. Okay. Unfortunately, the Bible has been reduced to a read quote religion. That's it. People read it and quote it. And I, talk to my daughter all the time, because she's a part of Church of Christ and they believe in studying the Bible. I don't believe in studying the Bible only. Sure, study, But eventually you're going to have to practice, you're going to have to live it. This is what Jesus taught. And, Jesus taught about, taking care of, widows and the poor and, those who are most vulnerable in society. But unfortunately, that's not what we're doing. We're turning our backs. It's like, back in December when Twitch boss committed suicide and people were like, well, criticizing his family. Well, why didn't you see the signs? Well, why didn't you? When it comes to issues in your own family, why aren't you seeing the signs? It's because you don't want to. It's because in this society, we are trained to turn our backs on pain. So people don't want to see your pain. I remember recently writing a very good friend who asked me how I was doing. I told him, and he didn't like it. Well, then don't ask me if you don't really want to know. But, this business of, just walking around and acting like you're fine, that everything is okay, that is not the way to go. I remember someone who used to preach long ago, years ago, who used to say, so this is supposed to be spiritual. You're supposed to be so spiritual that if you were going through something, nobody would know it. Well, honey, if my toe hurt, the rest of my body is gonna know it. That's just nonsense. That's not, spirituality. That's not, you should be walking in such faith that no one knows that you're hurting. Well, if you are supposedly, the body of Christ, and there's a lot of talk about being, interconnected and the whole 9 yards, then you should know. No, that's a way for you to ignore and not lend a helping hand. And this is why, I mean, the story of the Good Samaritan is so important because everybody was walking by, seeing the man injured, seeing the man beat up, seeing that the man needed help, and did nothing. This is why um, MLK talked about um, silence as betrayal. Silence is betrayal. And as far as, my, husband's and I's situation with our son, I mean, I remember he was first diagnosed as deaf when he was 9 months, and then at 3 years old, he was diagnosed as autistic. You can't imagine. But I remember thinking, we are not going to have any friends. And we didn't because it's very isolating. And I mean, the truth of the matter is that people don't want to hear your problems. And they feel kind of guilty because you are going through this in your life and their life seems to be what we call normal. Um, but there's no such thing as normal. And, like I said, there are so many people. I think about my cousin who took care of her mother for 7 years, moved her mother into her house, retired from her original career as a police officer, and then did something else so that she could be with her mother and properly take care of her mother. She had other siblings, but she did the lion's share of the work. They really didn't step in until, the 11th hour. So, I'm saying this and I was thinking about caregivers, particularly because now, thankfully, my son is going to be going to a group home moving in on April the 10th. A beautiful home with three other clients, with two other clients. He'll be client number three that lives there. And so the house is beautiful, but the way that he matches with the other clients is just awesome. And I tell you, I mean, we had to pull him from a group home 7 years ago. So if someone would have told me that it was going to take 7 years to find him another group home, a suitable group home, I mean, even with all that, my husband and I have gone through, I would have never believed it. But, thankfully now, and this is hard. I cannot explain to you how hard it is. Letting go is very hard. And the interesting thing is that actually that space, and it's a beautiful space, and all three clients have their own suite. So there's a sitting room, um, full bathroom, and bedroom, okay, that each client has. But someone else was supposed to have that space, but that mother had a hard time letting go. I don't judge her at all. I know what this is like. And this is so hard because it's your baby, you know. It's hard for family members. I mean, and a lot of times you can't trust people. You can't trust people. It's difficult. So you really have to be very careful who you release your loved one to. And so that person decided not to let their loved one move in. So then we were able to find that space. Um and we are grateful. It's only 15 minutes away. But the interesting thing is that tonight he spent a few hours at his new home with the staff on his own. And my husband and I mean, we don't know what date night is and how to go out or whatever. We haven't done it. We haven't had a break in 7 years. We don't know what that's like. But we had decided we did stop at a few stores. And this camera was the stop at what do you call it? Best Buy. So we went to Best Buy and I found this camera, which I love. Um, and I think that the screen looks so much better. It doesn't have that kind of grainy look. Now this is the 1080p. The other one that comes with this laptop is a 720. But anyway, so we went to Rite Aid actually first. And then I had to drop something off real quick. Um, and then while we were over by the mall. And so then we decided to go to Best Buy, and we didn't stay long. And then we were going to go to the other part of the mall. And then my husband parked. I was reading an email from a friend of mine. And then, he parked. And I mean, I was just about finished reading. And then, I looked over and he was asleep. He was asleep. Yeah. Snoring a whole 9 yards. And then I fell asleep. So we spent the last hour and a half that we had before we had to go to pick up our son from his group home. Um, we spent that sleeping. We are exhausted. And people don't understand that. And it really hurts me because my family, his family, when we were going to church, they don't get it. They really, really don't get it. And it's sad. But I want to say to those of you who are caregivers, I see you. I hear you. I know what you're going through, and some of you are going through even worse situations than our situation. Um, we cannot even imagine. But I see you. Your work is not in vain. This society wants us to believe that money, profits over people. No. And this society does not provide the necessary support. I mean, you have to go through a whole lot. I have a niece who works in what they used to call private duty nursing, which is, now home care. And have to be, you can't have anything. And those who even have a little bit, you know, have to, come out of pocket for a lot of stuff. This is just wrong. It's just wrong. But what are we going to do? It is what it is. But I just want to come on and just say again, I see you. And I know saying that you're not the only person who's going through this, that doesn't help. Pointing out, that whole thing, what is it? Something um, about complaining about shoes and tell I saw the man who didn't have any feet. Okay, but I still don't have any shoes. So I really don't think that that helps people at all. I wish that I could do something, that I could say something that would take your pain away, that would help you to do, that will encourage you. And to be quite frank, I'm at a loss for words. But I just wanted to come on here and just say thank you for doing what you're doing, and to just hang in there. I know it's hard, but just hang in there. Just hang in there. God bless you. Thank you. Everybody have a good night. This is Dr. Erica L. Coleman signing off.